Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Kumo Theater. We're happy to have you here this morning. And want to know if you would help me out with giving a big round of applause, like you've already had your coffee, from CenturyLink. Please welcome David Shikochis.
Thank you very much. All right. Great hand. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Great to be with you here at reInvent 2017. Again, my name is Dave Shikochis. I'm with a company called CenturyLink. CenturyLink is one of the larger information, communications, and technology companies in the world. We operate in 5 different continents and 300 different countries. We've got about $24 million of revenue, and the majority of that revenue now is helping enterprise organizations work with business workloads, connecting them to the right infrastructure venues, connected to the right networks. And increasingly, that right infrastructure venue is Amazon Web Services, and that's what we're here to talk to you a little bit about today. But connecting them to the right networks is a huge part of what we do. It's the main focus of what we do. And if you read Jeff Barr's blog earlier in the week, you saw how CenturyLink is the infrastructure partner that is connecting all of these different venues, the hotels, the MGM, the Venetian here, connecting them all together with massive bandwidth links that make all of this possible. So that's a little bit about who CenturyLink is. What we want to talk to you a little bit about today is a business problem that we see a lot of our organizations and our customers facing that has to do with a higher level business problem that precedes any of that great connectivity work that we're trying to do, or any of those workloads that we're trying to launch, or anything thing that we're trying to solve in that hybrid IT domain. So before we get into that, talk to you a little bit, very briefly about myself. I run product management inside CenturyLink for our hybrid IT managed services. Like many of you, I'm sure most of the folks here in this room, I've done nothing but be a service provider my whole career. And increasingly, that's what the industry, and that's what the economy is turning into, are companies that deliver service to other organizations. And so being a service provider, what's vital about that is how you're driving user experience, how you're making great transformative user experiences for your customers, and that's really where the main problem ties in. So we want to talk about this problem that a lot of customers are facing. It's really around collaboration and gaining alignment between the 3 competing spheres of influence inside the enterprise IT organization. I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the tools that they use to solve those problems, share with you some of CenturyLink's approach and what we're doing inside the industry and how we're solving some of these problems, both for our customers and ourselves, and then talk a little bit about what the future holds. So we talk to our customers a lot. And we do this informally, right? And as we work with them on solutions and services and things across the hybrid IT stack. But we also talk to them in more formal ways. We commissioned this research with 451 a few months ago, and it really talks to enterprise IT leaders about what's holding them back and what are some of their challenges and thought processes around moving more forward in a more digitally transformative way. And the 2 things that they continually call out as the largest obstacles are software systems that don't conform and allow them to be agile in the way that they're delivering change and managing problems against that infrastructure. And then, honestly, the organizational silos. They cite organizational silos and driving alignment between individuals and teams as one of the main things holding them back. And so this notion of collaboration and teamwork is just a vital soft skill. It's a vital issue that a lot of organizations are facing in order to be able to be successful. And so, newsflash, inefficiency throughout enterprise IT is still a major issue. Anybody know the parable of the blind man and the elephant? If you know the parable of the blind man and the elephant, you probably get the metaphor. If you've never heard it, you're very confused by this slide, and you're wondering why all these guys have blindfolds on. You know, people who look at problems differently, they're looking at it from their own perspective, they're going to describe the problem a very specific way. And they're going to pull out a tool set and a framework for addressing that problem in their own way. And we see that a lot inside of enterprise IT. And we'll talk about how some of those personalities can conflict and how their choices of tools can become an issue. So, you know, collaboration being such a vital part of delivering transformative services in the service economy means that you need to have everybody describing problems and looking at things the same way with a clear view. Additionally, inside of enterprise IT, we're just naturally forming up into silos. Silos based on skill set, silos based on area of focus. You see some natural silos emerge inside the office of the CTO with an organization focused on software development, whether that is true native, cloud native development, or whether that is just integration code tying together software systems. The development team and the operations team may be on very different wavelengths in terms of what the true problems facing the business are, how they measure success. And then you've got a finance organization that is trying to figure out where these guys and gals are spending all this money. And so getting all of these different organizations lined up is a huge important part of that challenge. And then the final piece behind those org charts are real people, right? IT is persona driven, and all these individuals because all of operations people have a pager in their pocket, and all of finance people have a calculator in their pocket. Here are the avatars for these individual spheres of influence, and they're all real people, and they all have different priorities, and they're all focused on different things. And there's communication patterns that play out inside of these personas as they work throughout their own sphere of influence. A very common one, and I know a lot of you have probably worked through this and seen this within your customer base. Certainly it's part of one of the main drivers of success behind Amazon Web Services, is the shifting paradigm between how development works with IT operations, asking them for resources in the enterprise data center. That doesn't have to happen anymore, and that's almost become an antiquated notion. But what that can bring about, as more developers start going directly to public cloud platforms, is the potential for loss of visibility and control, but also the potential for those organizations to start feeling marginalized, and they're not governing things from an operational standpoint, they're not assigning things appropriately from a cost management standpoint, and it brings about this potential challenge between these three spheres of influence. And so obviously the answer is getting everybody on the same page, right? Driving a clear, consistent view around cost. Where are you spending dollars inside the cloud? Where are you spending resources, and how are you aligning it to business initiatives? How are you getting costs organized together by cost center and by organization and by workspace? How are you standardizing the way you deploy to the different cloud platforms? Do you have a good quality service catalog, and can you do things from a versioning standpoint that maintains consistency? And how are you really driving alignment and collaboration between these organizations so that they all feel like they are part of one common set that's solving a problem for their end customers? And of course, having a team makes it easier to maintain your talent gap. Teams that work together tend to stay together longer. Teams that work for each other and work with each other are going to stay together longer, and it's going to help address some of the talent shortage and the skills gap that a lot of enterprise IT leaders face. So as these, in order to get to this teamwork future state, going back to where we kind of stand right now, you still see those spheres of influence tending to look at their tools landscape in a very furcated type of way, right? You've got a lot of the development organizations that are focused on tools that help them drive their own initiatives. You do abstractions on the software layer, like platform as a service and container orchestration. They've got element managers that they're working with. They've got CI/CD frameworks and tools. They've got automated testing tools. They've got vulnerability scanning tools. There's a lot that they're working into their tool set from a development standpoint. On the operations side, those organizations are looking at all the different data center footprints that they're responsible for. They're looking at having to recruit, continually monitor all the different business applications that they're up and running. And all the different cloud environments that they have out there in the industry. They're also looking, how do I source, how do I deliver sourcing for my support organization? And then you look at the tools that are happening down in the finance part of the landscape, and they're looking at how do I keep track of whether it was with traditional ERP and financial management systems, or whether it is very specialized cloud-focused accountability systems, whether they're doing any kind of analytics or prediction or resource forecasting on that spend. So there's a lot of tools that the finance organization tends to work with as well. So what CenturyLink is doing in the market, and just to share with you a little bit, and we'll touch on it here really briefly. And if you want to see more at the CenturyLink stand, we can go do a whole lot deeper of a review for you around what our service and our solution is to this problem. And it's a service we call Cloud Application Manager. Cloud Application Manager is a service platform that has a module that addresses each of these individual tooling areas and weaves them together into a common collaborative interface. So we have 3 modules inside Cloud Application Manager, and I'll deep dive into them here as we go step by step all the way through it. But it is designed as a service set that can help drive alignment between these 3 spheres of enterprise IT. For the development-focused users, there's a module we call Application Lifecycle Management. And this is fundamentally a workload standardization and a very lightweight orchestration system that is compatible with a lot of the different configuration management practices and provisioning APIs that exist in the industry. So you want to model an application, create a catalog out of it, be able to repeatably and reliably deploy it to cloud platforms like Amazon Web Services, and get a high degree of conformity and standardization and governance over what has been deployed and where it's been deployed. So the Application Lifecycle Management user interface, there's a quick screenshot of it there. There's obviously clearly only one thing going on in this customer, and that's Amazon Web Services. They're tying in and deploying, but they're also being able to track and manage where they're spending the cost for this particular workload, so that they can then understand how they're going to pass that data off to some of the other colleagues that are on the team. The Managed Services Anywhere initiative or that module within Cloud Application Manager is really a series of run state monitoring, steady state run tools, secure remote administration and runbook management capabilities, whereby we can, on a 24/7 basis, tap into a fully managed services suite where those workloads can be managed on an ongoing basis. Allows customers to take and really build a much more lightweight operations organization because they're tying into Cloud Application Manager for that managed workload experience. And then the final piece is a module we call Cloud Optimization and Analytics, which is really a module that takes those workloads once they've been defined, once they've been deployed into management for 24/7 operations, and it allows customers to tap into and look at spending patterns, do some predictive analytics on where spending resource choke points are going to occur, and be able to take a look at some best practice recommendations and analysis of their spend so that IT finance organizations can figure out whether you're spending money and allocating resource in the best possible way. We support Cloud Application Manager with a customer success continuum. It's an online web service. Some quick screenshots there. We can do some demos and go a whole lot deeper over at the CenturyLink stand. But one of the things we actually do to support Cloud Application Manager is consider it on a customer success continuum. Cloud Application Manager is an online service. It is not an online set of consulting or manually delivered services. It is an online web service that customers can make as self-service as they want to be. So they can dive into the knowledge base, activate quickly, and get started by reading the how-tos and reading the knowledge base, and take a workload all the way through its lifecycle. Or they can go through one of our onboarding services where we can sit down with them, take a real live workload, and move it onto the platform. For customers that want to be completely hands-off, we can move over into a completely guided managed services type experience where CenturyLink is moving that through the entire lifecycle. And then for larger organizations, CenturyLink has a consulting organization we call IT Services that can work with customers to make more broad, full-blown data center migrations into the Cloud Application Manager framework and allow them to go all in with public cloud, or as all in as they can possibly be, with public cloud platforms with a strong sense of governance, but more importantly, a well-aligned spheres of influence within their enterprise organization. A couple quick examples of where we've been able to make this work. There's a company called Saito Bank that is a collaboration platform themselves, but it's a collaboration platform for biopharma research and medical data sets where they create a bank of cytology data that pharmaceuticals and the biomedical industry can go and use to go and borrow data sets to be able to run new types of analyses against. And sort of a big data repository that a lot of different pharmaceutical organizations can collaborate around. When they sell into a new region or they sell into a new research institution, Saito Bank needs to be able to deploy a new workload and a new sort of a harness for that individual research institution. And so they need something that can actually reliably scale and go to a number of different regions around the world. And obviously deploying to public cloud is a great way to do that. By working with the Application Lifecycle Management module, Saito Bank was able to really save on their infrastructure costs because they were able to consistently model and then through automation manage the capacity of what's going on inside their public cloud deployments. They were also able to increase their efficiency by 35% just due to the native automation that's baked in. So Saito Bank was an early user of Cloud Application Manager. They're heavy users of our Application Lifecycle Management module. They've also started tying into our cloud optimization services to be able to look at how they can drive increasing efficiencies beyond what they've already been able to realize. And there's another important customer that's using Cloud Application Manager, and that's CenturyLink ourselves. CenturyLink is an 80-year-old company that has been working in the ICT industry for ages. We're going through our own digital transformation, and one of the ways that we're doing that is by using our own services like Cloud Application Manager to increase the velocity and increase the rate at which we are deploying and managing and transforming the way we deliver service to our end clientele. So we use Cloud Application Manager to make more Cloud Application Manager. A lot of the microservices and a lot of the tools that run inside Cloud Application Manager are managed using Cloud Application Manager itself in sort of a virtuous cycle. And so just to finish up and talk a little bit about what life looks like when you have well-aligned spheres of influence inside of enterprise IT. You're using your platforms to make more platform, right? You're dog fooding it. You're using your own services to make more capabilities. You're really driving that roadmap for what your services could be based on your firsthand experience with the platform. That really drives empathy and alignment with not only the three spheres of enterprise IT influence, but it drives alignment with your end clients because you're using the service just as your clients do. So that's a vital and important part of it. And it allows you to really start rethinking your organization structures. And we're starting to do this a whole lot more. whereby we certainly still have executive leadership in areas around operations and development and finance, but they're really creating more podular teams focused on either a microservice or a particular module of our service portfolio that can all move autonomously, independently, focused on a customer base with really a mixed mode team. And this is more the unit of work that's going on when you're well aligned inside of enterprise IT. You can get a mixed mode team of a financial analyst, a couple of operations and analysts, a developer, an engineering manager, a product owner, all focused on that particular service. They're all inside the same Cloud Application Manager workspace, and they're all seeing those applications get deployed and built as we go. So to quickly summarize, in the last 30 seconds, we talked a little bit about that collaboration challenge, certainly what Centrelink is doing in the industry. We've got some great other case studies with some of our other fantastic customers that have used Cloud Application Manager. If you walk about 7,500 yards that way on the other end of the exhibit hall, that's where Centrelink's stand is in lovely row 100. Come by and see us, and I hope you have a great rest of the show.